G'day there folks, it's Connor here again from Marquee Industries, and we're back with some more stories from Reddit. As always, if you enjoy these videos, be sure to hit like and subscribe, and also the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Alrighty, let's get right into it. Okay folks, this one was posted on the Off My Chest subreddit. It was written by user Impulsive Paint Pusher, and it's titled, "We are going through IVF and we don't want kids anymore." I don't know how we got here. We agreed we would not do IVF, but somehow it felt like the next step, the easy solution. We're both under 30, generally active and healthy. We never thought we would be in the 2% of cases where IVF doesn't work. There is something to having so much time to think about having children. It's strange how other people can decide they want to bring life into the world and simply do it. We've watched our friends, our family, have very difficult times with their children and love their children with everything in them. They ask us if we want to take them home, and in the same breath tell us it's the best thing that's ever happened to them. I've always imagined my life full of children, but when I couldn't conceive naturally, I hoped for one. While I watched people spank, yell at, and harshly discipline their children, people who I never would think could do those things, would I turn into that? A lot of these people are shells of themselves. I've found myself wondering if that's what I even want for me. Thousands of pills, appointments, blood work, hundreds of shots, 2 surgeries, several transfers, dozens of ultrasounds, anticipation, tears, disappointment, thousands of dollars, healthy embryos, acupuncture, periods. It has never worked. And for what? To force life into this world? I have this deep instinct it's not going to happen. I will never be pregnant. How could I continue to try and be able to feel this at the same time? That's like torturing myself. I have no emotions about it anymore. I'm sure I'll be sad some days, but right now this decision feels freeing. And I feel guilty. We have frozen embryos. What are we going to do with them? People know. People are praying. People are invested. But I am done. Not in an angry way. I'm done with the game. We are done with the game. Game of the doctors. Game of pretending like this is exciting. I don't want to try so hard for a child that ultimately might not want to be born for the sake of ourselves. We might not be able to give them a sibling, which I believe is the greatest gift you can give any human. It feels selfish. It feels wrong. It's ruining me. It's ruining us. What will be, will be. Oh man, that's heartbreaking to read. Let's go to the comments. Has anyone actually checked your man's sperm? I know a guy whose wife did 2 rounds of IVF over 7 years before anyone checked his sperm, and they found out he was actually the one with the issue. Opie says, yes, several times. It's not him, it's me. Our clinic does ICSI. In moments of emotional and physical exhaustion, our fears become amplified. You need rest, take a break, take some time, and gain some perspective from a healthy place. Additionally, stop worrying about the opinions and expectations of people outside your marriage. They have no stake in this and no right to influence your decision. I wish you the best of luck. Opie replies, thank you. My thing is, I'm either 100% or 0. The middle ground is what makes me crazy. I cannot continue this if I know I'm not doing everything I possibly can. The what ifs, the curiosity of ovulation or when my period is coming. Does that make sense? I don't even know if that sounds insane. For example, I've switched my cooking utensils and pans, household products, hair products. We use local soap, makeup. I don't wear jewelry. I stopped dyeing my hair. We eat clean and local. No perfume. I don't wear workout clothes. 100% cotton or linen. I quit vaping, marijuana, drinking. I work out, hike, kayak, go fish and walk every single day. I'm the healthiest I've ever been in my life. I feel good about this, but still no child. It wasn't for nothing, but it wasn't enough for a pregnancy. I want to go back to a normal view on these things, not an obsession. I want my life back. I feel this so hard right now. My husband and I are on our 7th cycle, 4 times with intercourse and 3rd IUI as of yesterday. Next step is IVF and I'm freaking tired. I was diagnosed with endometriosis at 20, right oophorectomy and appendectomy at 27, and I have heads, chronic pelvic pain, etc. I got pregnant last year, I'm 34, on our 2nd month of trying, and had a blighted ovum and had a missed miscarriage at 5.5 weeks, but didn't find out until 8 weeks. My body has been through it. I think if you already have embryos, take a couple of months off, take a vacation and get away from the noise of it. Reevaluate in 2 months. Start therapy if you aren't already. Every month I ask myself if I really want this. Even before my procedures, shots, pills, etc. Do I want this? Once I start hearing no, or I can't commit to even getting my prescriptions filled or taking the pills, I know I'm done. It frickin' sucks, and I'm so sorry you're going through this. Opie replies, "Thank you for your support and understanding. It's extremely difficult to walk this path. I don't see it as giving up. I think it's simply a new chapter. I've been having these thoughts before our last transfer, but it feels different to write them down and say them to my partner. I've gained way more than I've lost during this process. Of course, there's the baby showers, excitement of seeing a positive test due to miscarriage and loss, but I have gained friends, boundaries, healing my childhood, therapy, overall health. There's really a lot to live for. I want to focus on that now and not feel hopeless every day. The risk outweighs the reward at this point." How is having a sibling the greatest gift you can give a human? I wish I had no sibling. It's literally only made my life harder. I'm sorry you're going through this. It sucks. Opie replies, "Siblings are all I have from narcissistic parents. They're the only people who fully understand the abuse. It's my personal opinion. I would feel guilt from not being able to provide a sibling. That's just me." I mean, you can be grateful for having siblings, but assuming guilt in parents because they didn't have 2 kids is a bit much, I think. What do you guys think? Anyway, let's go to an update 5 months later. Following up 6 months later on our decision to stop fertility treatment due to new thoughts about producing offspring, we both started a new diet, exercise routine. We both lost 25 pounds. I cut all supplements and medications, got a new therapist, finished many things I was pushing off. Our business has thrived. Things have been great without this taking up 95% of my mental space. I wavered back and forth for a while, if and when we would try for another embryo transfer, largely because I was trying to heal that it most likely won't happen for us, and enjoying envisioning a future with just my husband, while simultaneously listening to everyone in my life calling this a break. It's been confusing to say the least, especially never knowing why it didn't work. I knew from the beginning it was not a break. I visited my primary for a regular checkup. She encouraged me to head to my OBGYN to see if she had any ideas. I agreed and made an appointment. OBGYN said, "Let's do an exploratory surgery to see what's happening, some blood work and other minor treatment." I made it clear that I'm not doing this for the hope to conceive. Blood work came back all normal, first time in 5 years. The poroscopy did not come back normal. I have stage 3 or 4 endometriosis. They did excision, but it was covering my entire pelvis, bladder, colon, small bowels, uterus, encasing my fallopian tubes and ovaries. After 2 years of being told right in my eyes I don't have endometriosis, this was so relieving. I have an answer now. She gave us a brief description of our options while I was waking up. I've had weeks to think. Do I want to go back to treatment? Do I want to try naturally? Do I even want to try at all? Recovery was hard, mentally and physically. All I could think about was how I have this timeline now before it grows back, and if I don't medicate, it comes back faster. I was having vivid dreams of disaster situations happening, and no one around me believing me, brushing me off. I cannot even begin to describe how difficult this has been to process. It doesn't feel real. The diagnosis, the options. This is not me. It can't be happening to me. Follow-up was today. They laid out our options. 2 to 5% rough chance to conceive naturally every month, 50% chance of conceiving with euploid embryos after at least 3 months of suppression that practically will put me into menopause. It seemed like the next step. Here I am again, researching all day, calling clinics to see who'll do transfers for the cheapest. What the actual frick am I doing? Husband gets home. I tell him everything I've learned. I'm still in the same spot. I don't want to do it, so we're not. I'm sad it's come to this, but truly, I've spent the past 5 months feeling great inside and out. I want to feel this way for as long as I can. Fertility treatment will derail that completely. I don't think the risk is worth the reward. I have learned so much, and it's frightening to possibly go back to the place I was 1 year ago. I don't think anything can convince me. I'm a different person, and I'm still done. One comment says, "One thing people rarely talk about when it comes to fertility treatments is just how much time and energy it consumes. You're juggling multiple fertility clinics, handling the research, pricing, testing, medications, and all the details while also dealing with the constant mental weight of thinking about what you shouldn't be doing every day. Then, once you've managed all of that, the real work begins, administering the medications. And did I mention how you might even change your diet, driven by the desperation to make sure everything is perfect? It's overwhelming, time-consuming, stressful, and often downright depressing. Every month, when your period arrives, it's another reminder that you're not pregnant. Meanwhile, those around you who know you're trying might brush it off, but it's a huge deal to you. And of course, there's always that one friend who seems to get pregnant effortlessly, sometimes even unsure if they want to keep the pregnancy. Each failed attempt takes its toll. It's not just the emotional pain of disappointment, it's also the physical toll. The medications you're taking might cause weight gain and trigger a sort of postpartum-like depression. So now you're dealing with deep sadness and the crushing reality of not being pregnant. I completely understand why, after all of this, you might not want to go back to trying. It's been over 10 years since we first started, and the only thing that's helped me is focusing on doing my best every day and finding joy in life. 6 years of trying was incredibly tough. I missed out on so much because I was always focused on the next step in the process, missing the chance to enjoy time with friends and live in the moment. Just know you're not alone in this journey. Another comment says, "It's infuriating that they didn't diagnose the endometriosis sooner. The industry is so greedy that they'll take thousands of dollars for all these fertility treatments and not check for something that 1 in 10 women have. I have endometriosis, and the difference in how I was treated pre-surgery versus post-surgery was ridiculous. Once it was verified, all of a sudden I was believed and got care. Before, oh, your pain is normal, take a Tylenol. It's even on the dang medical chart now as verified. This poor lady shouldn't have had to suffer like this." Yeah, it's sad, isn't it? And you hear stories like this of people stuck in IVF all the time, but it doesn't get talked about that often. Anyway guys, we're going to leave that story there. That's the last update so far. Hopefully OP's doing better. Alrighty, well let me know your thoughts about that one in the comments and we'll move on to another story. Okay, this next one's on True Off My Chest. It was written by user Eastside Wests and it's titled, "My mum explained why she's always been partial to my sister." Okay, so I, 17 male, have a twin sister, and if I'm being honest, our mum has always seemed more partial to her. She's always far quicker to give her hugs and compliments, and she seems a bit more emotionally distant to me. I've noticed it my whole life, and I've tried not to let it bother me, but things finally came to a head recently. I don't really want to get into the inciting incident that started this, or long story short, we've been looking at colleges and I was upset because it seemed like she wanted my sister to stay more local than she wanted me to. And I told her she loved my sister more than me in our whole lives, and she didn't give a crap about me, and I'm still not sure why. Today, she came in my room and asked if we could talk, and she said there's something she felt it was time to tell me. Then she opened up about her childhood, something she's never done, and explained that her father abused her sexually, and she had brothers who abused her too, and it instilled a deep disdain towards men in her. She told me she's been meaning to go to therapy and get help, but she told me it breaks her heart that she ever made me feel like she loved me less than my sister, and she's been trying my whole life to get the hell over it and grow up, and that it breaks her heart that I haven't had the mum I deserve. She started crying, and I hugged her and told her I loved her and she was a great mum, and I was lucky to have her. Afterwards, I suggested we go out to dinner, just the two of us, and I could pay, and she said she'd take me up on that, under the condition that she'd pay. So we had a really nice dinner, and we talked, and I felt I connected with her in a way I hadn't before. I can't really explain it, but I felt like I saw her, and she saw me in a different, but good way. Overall, gotta be honest, I feel terrible because I feel like I made her trauma all about me. She's a wonderful person, and I don't know why I'd accuse her of not loving me like she loves my sister. All I know is that I'm gonna be better to her, and understand she's doing her best, as we all are. That's all, just figured I'd share somewhere. Edit. Okay, yes, my mum has been making mistakes with not getting treatment and how she's been more partial to my sister than me. However, that doesn't mean she's a horrible mother like a bunch of comments are insinuating. She's a human being in pain, and she was able to admit when she did something wrong. And just so everyone knows, she did make some calls and has an intake therapy appointment on Wednesday. If I made my mother sound like she hated me or was blatantly awful to me, she doesn't and she isn't. I love her and she loves me, and we're going to do better from now on. Yeah, you can kind of see how some comments are saying that the mother should have sorted her problems out before having kids first, but you gotta understand, this is such a confronting thing to come up against. Like, unless you've been in a position like that yourself, I don't really blame anyone who's hesitant in facing, trauma such as this. Let's go to the comments. Don't feel bad. You didn't know her history, but you had a right to talk with her about her behavior with you. Exactly. This is clearly a trauma response. Even if his is nowhere near the same level as his mum's, this is still a textbook example of generational trauma being passed down and hopefully healing. He was right to make his feelings known, and it seems like his mum is responding appropriately. Hopefully you can both now move on. Your freak out was necessary for her to see how she's been treating you for the past 17 years. Don't feel bad, and good luck. She needed to be told, since she clearly was blind to what she has and was doing to you. Hopefully you can now build a relationship. I'm so glad you brought it up and your mum reacted how she did. This is best case scenario for her reaction, and I hope you both have a better foundation to have a meaningful relationship. Please ask her to still attend therapy to overcome her trauma, not as a condition of your forgiveness, unless you feel it's fair, that's your decision to make, but because she deserves to be free of those demons. Perhaps think about therapy for yourself while you're at it. Growing up with a parent that is emotionally distant and or favors one sibling over another is very damaging to a child. I'm sorry you had to experience this throughout your life. That isn't fair. I am, however, glad to hear your relationship with one another is mending. She's been meaning to go to therapy for 17 years? Please don't feel guilty. You haven't done anything wrong, and as the adult and parent, it was her responsibility to work on it. That kind of behavior leaves scars that aren't easy to deal with, and her response to her own trauma isn't your fault or responsibility. I'm glad she was able to open up to you, but please remember that while it's a reason, it's not an excuse. You still went through a life of feeling second best, and it's absolutely okay to feel some negative feelings towards it. Please consider speaking to a therapist yourself. I'm sure you have some things to say that you'd rather not say directly to your mother. And who knows, maybe you seeking some help will be the push she needs to do the same. Okay, on to an update. Hi all. So I made a post last month talking about how my mother opened up to me about why she's always seemed more partial to my sister. I was going to post an update 2 weeks ago, but the Reddit app crashed and I lost the post as I was close to finished with it and I rage quit and lost the drive to write another one. That being said, thank you to some of the people commenting asking for an update. You helped bring the drive back. For those of you who haven't read my original post, to make a long story short, my mother was essayed her whole childhood by almost every single one of the men in her life, including her father, older brothers, and some older students at school. These horrible experiences ended up instilling a deep disdain towards men inside of my mother, and my whole life I always felt she connected with my sister more than me, and made more of an effort to connect with her than me, and I confronted her about it recently. Then, for the first time, she told me what had happened in her childhood, to make her more partial to women, and agreed to get therapy to help her with her problems. So before I get into my update, a few things. First, people were asking about my father, and, well, I've never met him. My mother has never told us about him, aside from the fact that he left her to mother us all by herself at the last second. Like really, all by herself. We don't have any family members we talk to. Additionally, people accused her of telling me the story to manipulate me and get herself a pass, and that's just not true. If you want to argue she wasn't taking care of herself in the way she should have, then sure, you're not wrong. However, she's not abusive or crappy like that. She's just a person in pain. Now onto the update. She goes to therapy on Monday afternoons, and I've been going with her to her sessions, and we get dinner afterwards. To be honest, the main reason I started going with her to make sure she goes, and that's been going well. She walked out of one session crying this month, but that's just how it goes sometimes. I've also been seeing eye to eye with my mum in a way I never have, and I've even been getting along better with my sister, who she also ended up telling about her childhood, and my sister has been insanely compassionate towards both me and our mum, and sometimes will intentionally leave my mother and I alone so we can bond. And don't make any mistake, she is trying her damnedest to connect with me. She's been asking me questions about my hobbies and engaging in them with me, and I do believe she's a great mum. I'll close this out with an uplifting story from a few nights ago. So my sister and I watched some TV together, and we're up late so we started heading to bed, but heard our mum crying in her bed. We looked at each other and neither of us knew why she was crying, but I know she's been in pain, so I went inside and without saying anything, lied down in bed next to her. She stopped crying and seemed surprised, but then my sister came into the room and also, without saying a word, got into the bed next to us. My mum started crying again, a good cry this time, and gave us both a hug and said, "I love you guys," and the three of us all went to sleep together. It genuinely made me feel like my sister and I were little kids again. Obviously we had a lot less space than we did back then and were packed tightly together, but it was wonderful and reminded me of the old days when we'd all fall asleep together. Anyway, yeah, that's the update. Thank you to the people who were commenting asking me to post the update, and to anyone who left a supportive comment on my last post. It means a lot. One comment says, "I'm glad to hear your mum is healing little by little. I just want to acknowledge how huge it is for her not to panic when you first went to cuddle with her. She was able to connect with you in a special way that she probably couldn't before." Opie says, "The cynical part of me wonders if she wasn't comfortable until my sister got in the bed. However, I'll still take it as a victory. She trusted me enough to fall asleep with me in that situation. Hell yeah." Another comment, "I'm happy for you, sister and mum. Let the healing begin. Did you decide on a college?" Opie says, "I'm not smart enough for some of the big schools like my sister is. One of the reasons I thought my mum loved her more than me. And to be honest, I've come to realize that, goddamn, community college is seriously underutilized, so I'm probably going to stay local. Also, a lot of the stuff I love relating to my hobbies is here, so that makes it a pretty appealing option." Quote, "I'm not smart enough for the big schools like my sister is. Community college is a great opportunity. My child's grades through high school were average. They enrolled in community college. After 2 years, they decided school is cool. With 2 associate's degrees earned, they were accepted and enrolled in a state college close to home. Bachelor's degree acquired. Now, after applying for a master's program, they've been accepted by 13 different schools. So you never know, OP. Please don't think that you're not smart enough. Some folks take a little longer to connect all the dots in life and receive what school offers. Also, good on you for sticking with your hobbies." Opie replies, "One of the managers at my job told me that if he could do it all over again, he'd go to community college, then transfer. It's so much cheaper too." Someone adds, "Given what she went through, mum's side and dad's side could be the same side." Opie says, "No, our mum has assured us this is not the case. I thought of it and asked her, and she got pregnant with us after she left home when she turned 18. Another comment from OP. Sigh, these comments sum up everything I hate about Reddit. I see a lot of comments creating a narrative and making assumptions based on what I shared, such as me not getting my own therapy or my sister and I being the product of assault. We're taking it one step at a time, and yes, I am receiving my own therapy despite the assumptions of so many commenters. Additionally, yes, I am battling some complicated feelings of my own with being angry at her for waiting so long to get help and thinking that was okay. But I'm saving those feelings for the therapy office until I'm ready to talk to my mum about it. Even though you may not be wrong that she was being a bad mum for going so long without therapy, there is absolutely no need to get angry on my behalf. You can interpret my defensiveness as me not wanting to admit that what has been said is true, but I just really don't care for people on the internet making assumptions about me and my family based on one snapshot I decided to share. But to the person who shared this is not at all directed at you, and feel free to keep the post up. Thank you for sharing my post. One comment says, 17 and she's just learning his hobbies is the saddest part. She's had his entire life to learn who he is and apparently doesn't know the most basic things that make him happy. Opie replies, "Okay, she's known all about my hobbies for my whole life. She was the one who helped me find them. We're just using them to bond." Yeah, that's definitely a downside to Reddit. People will take one thing based on limited information and make up about 50 things around it. Anyway, Opie updates again. So I figured I'd post another update. I've made posts about my mother who explained to me how she was essayed by all the men in her childhood, which is why she's always been partial to my twin sister, and you can just go to my post history to see the full story because I don't particularly care to summarize it again. This one's not as happy. Ever since I first confronted her about it, I've had this sense of resentment towards her I'd been trying to compartmentalize and deal with later on, or at least in my own therapy sessions. As of late, it's been getting harder to ignore them, and over the weekend I lost my temper and yelled at her, asking why she thought it was okay to wait so long to get help, and how she probably wouldn't have done anything if I didn't call her out for her bullcrap. She heard me out and started to cry and said the only thing she can say is I'm right and I've always deserved a mum who would outwardly love me as much as my sister, and it breaks her heart I didn't get that mother, and all she can say is she's sorry and hopes I can forgive her someday. I didn't say anything in return and just left the house. I haven't confronted her since, and I know she feels bad, and the crappy part of me feels good about that, but I know she needs all the support she can get, so it's just a crappy situation all around. This is probably above Reddit's pay grade, but I figured I'd post it anyway. One commenter asks, have you had the chance to talk to someone about it? I think this is something you'll feel for a long time. If you don't talk to someone about it, it might affect other parts of your life. Yeah, I'm seeing a therapist. She cried. Her tears are to make you feel guilty for calling her out. Until she shows you an improvement in her treatment to you, don't fall for the tears. Opie says, for what it's worth, she has shown an improvement over the last few months. Like, I'm a big movie buff, and she's been asking to watch movies with me a lot as of late, which she didn't do before, and she's making more of an effort to talk to me about my day and school, and even the girl I've been talking to. Maybe she didn't realize just how much her actions were hurting me, and is trying to do what she can to fix it. Someone adds, she doesn't need support. She needs to end the pity party and start supporting the son she's neglected all this time, and not keep doing the same thing. Opie says, part of me wants to agree with you, but she is in a lot of pain. She is the parent. As a parent, she needs to suck it up and be a frickin' parent. She hasn't your entire life. Opie says, you know what, for the time being I'm going to agree with you. I'm not feeling compassionate right now. And another update. I was thinking today and randomly remembered a year ago I posted about me telling my mum that she's always obviously loved my twin sister more than me, and then her explaining how she grew up in a house with a father and brothers who regularly essayed and assaulted her, and she projected that disdain towards men onto me. Since then, my mother, my sister and I have been seeing our own individual therapists, and we've had several group sessions together. So today, my sister is away at college and I stayed local and go to community college. Something, I think, I mentioned in my old post was my mum was pushing me to go away to school and encouraging my sister to stay local. Funny how that happens. Anyway, my sister is coming back home this week for the holidays, but I've honestly really enjoyed it here with my mum. She's been making an effort lately to engage with me with the things I'm passionate about, and I'm a big movie fan, so I've been showing her my favourite movies over the past few months. She's made an insane amount of progress as well, and I'm so proud of her, and we have a wonderful relationship. It certainly wasn't always pretty over the past year, and even though the work isn't always easy, the payoff is certainly worth it. So yeah, we're doing a lot better than we were when I made the original post last year. In the comments, I'm happy that your life and your relationships are improving, but I can't help but to feel that if a future parent has that much baggage, they should resolve it before having children or refrain from having them. It is unfair to the child. Opie says, something I forgot to put in the post. She told us a little bit about the circumstances around our birth. It wasn't as awful as I was dreading, but long story short, we were unplanned, and it sounds like she was more or less bullied into bringing us to term. One comment says, this is a sweet update. Thank you for taking the time to help your mum feel more comfortable. He replies, and I'm happy she took the time to understand she was hurting me. Team effort. I'm so glad to hear you guys are doing better. If you want any good Christmas movie recs, Claws on Netflix is a cute one. Opie says, one of my online friends recommended this to me. I've been trying to stay away from anything involving violence towards women or anything just overtly violent for my mum's sake, so this would be a good one to watch. Another comment, God, this poor kid, he is so positive. From the looks of the comments, a lot of people are focused on how neglected he was during his childhood, which is obviously not okay at all, whereas he is trying to move forward and build a relationship with his mum, and it looks like she is trying too. It's so tough to strike the balance between expressing grief and sadness about how you've been let down in the past, while trying not to let that take over your whole life. That's a huge amount of maturity and empathy for such a young person. She should be so proud of her son. They're building a beautiful relationship. Very sad it took her so long to get the therapy, but I'm shocked at how quickly she's been willing to change. Yeah, and at this point, I think that's what matters the most. Like that previous comment before said, it is tough to strike the balance between, expressing grief about your past and how you've been let down, while also not letting that dictate your life. And I feel like comments on Reddit tend to focus on the past a little bit too much. And honestly, you're just never going to move forward by doing that. What do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments, ironically. Alright, let's move on to another story. Okay, this next one was posted on Am I the A-hole? It was written by user Martin and Marvin, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for visiting my ex in jail against the wishes of my girlfriend? I live with my girlfriend Molly, and we have done for the past 2 years. I love her, and since we're both financially stable, we're thinking of starting a family together. My ex-girlfriend Amy is in jail. She worked in finance, pretty high up, already earning great money, but got involved in an illegal scheme to make easy money. Everyone involved has been jailed. I heard about this and thought it was a shame, but we haven't been together for 4 years, so I had no reason to reach out to her. That was until I received a letter from her in the post, where she told me that all her family and friends had cut her off, and was asking if I could be in contact with her purely as a friend, so she has someone she could talk to on the outside. I agreed and visited her today. Amy's family are upper-class types who are obsessed with their reputation, and so cut their criminal daughter off. Most of her friends are from the same professional circles as her, so they don't want to know her either. I'm her only friend outside the prison. She's a complete wreck of a person. When she saw me, she broke down in tears, as I'm the first person who's ever visited her. Amy doesn't belong in there at all. She's going out of her mind with boredom, sitting in her cell. While she has been put on some courses, they are far below her capability. She has a degree in mathematics and numerous financial certifications, and they're only offering her very basic skills courses. She has to wear clothes that are usually over or undersized and have been worn by many others before. From what she said, I think she's being bullied in there too. She said a lot of the other women don't like her because apparently she comes across as spoiled and snobby. After the visit, she hugged me and thanked me for coming, and I said I'd try to come once a month. Molly was okay with me seeing Amy beforehand, but when I got home, she said she doesn't feel comfortable. She said if it was anyone else, it would be okay, but the fact I'm going out of my way for my ex frightens her. She asked me if I have feelings for Amy, which I don't, but that didn't satisfy her, and she said she wouldn't feel happy unless I stopped seeing Amy, which I said I wouldn't. I'm Amy's only friend. Why should I let her sit in that crap hole all alone when I can be there just as a friend to help her through it? I don't know, man. I think if you're trying to start a family with Molly, it's best to do what she wants, and if she says it's making her uncomfortable, then it's making her uncomfortable and he should stop. That's just my 2 cents. Let's go to the comments. Info. You say Amy doesn't belong in there at all. What makes you think that? She obviously does belong in there by a judge and probably a jury opinion. Is this a sign that you have her on some sort of pedestal? If she asked you to do her a little favor, would you consider it? Like transfer some money from one of her accounts to another? I'm going to join the other commenter who went against the rest. You're the a-hole. Your current girlfriend is uncomfortable with you seeing your ex for good reason. If you're this forgiving of your ex's transgressions when talking to your girlfriend, it's very fair of her to be concerned. Amy is a criminal, and it's absolutely fair for her friends and family to refuse to support her through that. You seem to be willfully blind to that fact, which I'm sure is alarming to your girlfriend. I'm also going to second the idea of Amy falling in love with you. You're running some high risks here, and your girlfriend sees that. Amy's going to see you as her white knight, the reprieve from prison, where she rightfully is, and along with the fact of your previous relationship, will develop some form of serious attachment. I'd feel threatened if I was your girlfriend too. And dude, once a month? That's excessive. I'd say occasionally, on a relatively infrequent, semi-regular basis. Like, don't organize your plans around visiting your criminal ex, only if it works out, and bring your girlfriend. I'm with your girlfriend on this one. It's towing the line for sure. Maybe the other women don't like her because she's clearly extremely entitled. Having to wear used clothes that aren't your size and take basic level skills courses isn't exactly a crisis, and she committed a crime, so she does belong in jail. But can you imagine the horror of wearing clothes other people have worn before? That's for the poor and stupid people that don't have tons of degrees and qualifications. You're the a-hole. The invalidation of your girlfriend's feelings and the prioritizing of your criminal ex over her would be enough, but the way you talk about Amy is really suspicious. She does belong in there. She's a criminal. It's her fault she's in there, no one else's. She doesn't get to cry about prison clothes or prison courses because those were all choices she made. Don't put criminal in inverted commas. She is a criminal. Honestly, the way you're trying to downplay that aspect and act like Amy is an angel who did nothing wrong is just massively a-hole. You do still have feelings for her, and your girlfriend's picked up on that. Okay, Opie updates 1 month later. So Molly and I sat down together and discussed everything. I understood why she was worried, and she understood why I didn't think it was right to leave Amy in that place alone. In the end, I took the advice of one of the comments on the original post. I asked Molly if she'd come with me when visiting Amy. She was very apprehensive, but agreed. Things were obviously awkward at the beginning, but they started to chat and got along. Amy was just grateful to have someone come along, and Molly wasn't going to be rude, so they hit it off well. Amy opened up about what's happening with her. The place is incredibly run down. She's in a cell on the top floor, and the window is cracked, so it's absolutely freezing at night, and the prison only supply a fairly thin blanket. It's overcrowded, and they're putting 2 people in cells built for one. Amy has to share a tiny cell with a woman who doesn't like her and who controls the cell, hogging the TV and deciding when they turn the lights out and go to sleep. The food and clothes are awful, and in order to occupy herself, Amy must go to basic literacy and numeracy courses, which she's completely overqualified for. The alternative to that is sitting in her cell going mad with boredom. Amy was crying her eyes out, but tried to hide it because if the others see her, they'll think she's weak. She's not had any problems with anyone, but apparently some of the others make fun of her posh accent. Her parents, friends or family haven't made any effort to contact her. Molly was an absolute star. She hugged Amy while she cried and reassured her. I wasn't expecting this at all, but was so proud. She said she'll be happy to be her friend if she needs one. They shared a few jokes too and chatted about fashion and things like that. Amy even promised she'd give her some of her designer stuff as a thank you when she gets out. In the end, Molly hugged Amy goodbye and promised we'd visit again. Later, Molly admitted that she was still a bit unsure over the fact that this was my ex, but she admitted that she could see how much Amy needs friends and people to support her. She thinks it's the right thing to do to see her as much as we can. Amy will be released in mid-2023, so we said we'd see her once every couple of months if we can. Thanks for the advice on the original post. Very much appreciated. Yeah, a bit of an old post, but man, Molly is a damn saint. Let's read some final comments. Amy is now out, and I am so curious. She might have been released in 2020 based on her crimes. Lots of minor financial criminals were released early. Yeah, looking at that date, Amy either watched people die as COVID ripped through jails, or she got out early. Yeah, white-collar crime deserves to be punished like any other crime, more so if you consider how often they steal other people's money and often never have to pay it back. Very true. That being said, at least in the US, the prison industry is borderline criminal itself. The point should be rehabilitation, not daily threats to your life. They cut their criminal daughter off. Not sure why Opie put that in quotes, as if she's not a criminal. If she was convicted, she is by definition a criminal. Well, to Opie, she might just not be one. She's not in jail for drugs, theft, violent behaviour, or other things people see as fundamentally bad. He got a past with her, and seems to only see her as this upper-class woman from a rich family. That probably doesn't fit into his view of what a criminal should be. He wrote the post as if she doesn't deserve to be cut off and in jail. It is understandable though. No one working in the same field would want to be affiliated with her. She has literally done something illegal, and it might not have hurt someone directly, but that doesn't change the crime. If she's so smart and accomplished, why does she need to break the law to get more money? Because she is a greedy, spoiled person. Getting to live with the consequences hopefully humbles her. What an idiot. Jailbird with all that education and financial certifications absolutely knew she was committing crimes. She's exactly where she deserves to be. Yeah, definitely a bit of classism going on. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Anyway, we're going to leave that story there and move on once again. Alright, we're going over to Petty Revenge for a quick one. This one was written by user DM Deering, and it's titled, I left my shopping cart in the parking lot for the first time ever, and it felt great. I got to the store today with my son and saw an open space. Sweet, I pulled through. I go to pull in and see that some idiot took up 4 parking spaces and wasn't visible from the laneway. I had to back out of the space since I couldn't fit and ended up parking next to him. I shook my head and grumbled about it and went in to do my shopping. When I got back to my car, I noticed that 2 other people had piled their carts around this idiot's car, one in front and one in the back. I've literally never once in my life left my cart in the parking lot since I'm not an animal, but it only took a few seconds for me to know what I had to do. I put my cart next to the driver's side door of this guy's car, and it felt great. Hopefully more people kept up the pay it forward cart pile after me. Screw you people who take 4 parking spaces. Yeah, they're the worst, and what a great way to say stuff you. If only you had zip ties, you could zip tie all the trolleys together around the car. Now that would be great. Anyway guys, that's it from me today. Hope you enjoyed those stories. Thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.